Oh man, it's been a week already, but doing those RA-4 reversal portraits all weekend long, I am still wiped out. I am still recovering from that. But I think there's some good lessons to be had. I wanted to recap what happened over the weekend and talk about the idea of creative collaboration as it applies to large format photography. Hey there, and welcome to Large Format Friday. I'm your host, Matt Marrash. If this is the first time you're stopping by the channel, there's a playlist of the 4th season we're currently working on. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so, because we got 3+ seasons in the bag and lots of LFF content to come, so check it out. So even though the RA-4 reversal portrait event only took place Friday night, Saturday night, and all day Sunday up here at 400 West Rich, anytime you're doing something in person that's paid, pre-scheduled, you have to have everything set up ahead of time. So 2.5-day event is actually more like a 4 or 5-day event by the time you consider setting up, tearing down, and making sure everything is perfect for the client. This was something that I hadn't really set up in a while. I have been on sets before, but man, it was a harsh reminder. When there's a lot of gear involved, there is a lot of moving things back and forth and back and forth. It kind of reminds me of one of the first shoots I was on, and that was with my professor Jeff all the way back in 2008. We were shooting like heavy duty lifting and forklift equipment, and that was the point at which I realized commercial photography is only about 5% actually photography. The rest is setting up, talking, and a whole lot of cleaning and just making sure everything looks right. This was another reminder of that. Steven and I spent pretty much the entire day leading up to the first portraits, making sure everything was a-okay before we brought the first client in. If you're used to working in a film set environment or some sort of collaborative commercial environment, you know what I'm talking about. Working in an environment like that can be completely different if you're used to doing something like going out on your own with the camera and just reacting to what happens. When there's money involved though, you want to make sure everything is ironed out and ready to go. So there's nothing that is unforeseen that pops up. And in this case, I'm really glad we took that entire day to set things up. We tested our paper, we tested our chemicals, we made sure the lighting was good, made sure we were able to set up and tear down the lighting so other people could move about the building. It wasn't just us, there was lots of people moving through, selling their wares, so you have to be respectful of other people's space and time. Over the course of the weekend, we had about 24 appointments. It was a really cool thing to see folks' reaction to the portrait process, watching everything come to life. It was almost like a mini workshop experience in addition to just getting a picture taken. It was way different than a normal pictures with Santa this time of year. I want to give especially big thanks to Mr. Steven Takis for making things happen. It was a truly collaborative experience. A lot of times Steven would work the camera, I would be here in the darkroom processing things back and forth. We also had a helping hand from Jesse, who drove up from Kentucky. Jesse as in the same Jesse that sent some Type 55. He drove all the way up from Kentucky to get his portrait taken, but he was also cool hanging out and assisting Steven and I. We really needed the extra set of hands, and it was cool to kind of show Jesse the ropes in terms of working with 8x10 as well as working with some more off-camera flash. If you missed your opportunity to get an RA-4 reversal portrait and you're within the region, stay tuned to the channel as well as check out my website, marrash.com. I'm going to be posting event updates on there when we have word of the next time we're doing RA-4 reversal portraits. Chances are they're going to be bigger this time. You know, working through all those portrait sessions this past weekend with my buddy Steven also reminded me how awesome it is to be able to work in a collaborative environment with other creatives. If you haven't done so yet, see if you can work on a project with another photographer and then maybe from there even branch out to maybe someone who's an illustrator, a videographer, a writer. Anytime you can work with someone else that has a creative vision that either works with what you're trying to do or maybe might add to it, it's an awesome, awesome time. One such recent experience I had was working with my good buddy, Mr. Tariq Terry, in his studio space, photographing a local congresswoman, Representative Joyce Beatty. It was a really cool time, and it was another big reminder that I need to collaborate more often with other creatives. In this particular assignment, Tariq was the lead photographer, and I was in charge of lighting and grip. moving lights around the studio, setting things up, taping down wires, just generally making sure the environment was safe for the rest of the professionals that were going to be on set. This was one of those high test shoots where you don't have a lot of time once the talent gets there, the main subject, and you really have to have everything ironed out. That means the lights in place, the style and design all on board, and everybody else working in perfect sync, making sure hair and makeup and styling all have what they need when they need it. So when Congresswoman shows up, you are ready to go and you know exactly what the assignment's going to be. This means a lot of pre-production meetings, so talking about what the ultimate goals are, talking about style, and starting that little push and pull of, okay, I want this to happen, but you know what? I want that to happen as well. How do we work together to make it so? And I'll tell you, if you ever have the chance to work with a bunch of other creatives who are at the top of their game, it is a magnificent experience. You feel like, wow, I can really do what I do best because somebody else is taking care of the other thing that they do best. I don't have to worry about hair and makeup. There is somebody that is there for it. Yes, it can be more costly to do this, but man, it is so awesome working in this way. You know, working on set with Tariq is always a great experience because he knows exactly what he wants and he knows the lighting so well. He knows really the easiest way to get there. So I was kind of just, all right, move this C-stand over here, put this up on the boom, let's meter it out, let's find out what we're going for. And it was really easy to get going. But I was really excited when he told me this shoot, we're going to try to push a little 4x5 as well. And as it turns out, the 4x5 shot ended up being the one that Columbus Monthly went with for their lead image, which I am so happy about. I think that was a great choice by the editors because, yeah, large format just has a different feel to it. My pro tip that I'll offer for working with large format film in a collaborative environment, get some instant film. Even if you're using like the Lomo instant graph lock back, as soon as someone sees that instant print come up, you've got their full attention and their full cooperation. When I was working on set with Tariq, it was so relieving to have somebody that knew exactly what they wanted, knew how to get there, and really all my job was just setting up the lights, metering, and making sure Tariq had exactly what he needed for the shoot. In this case, a good soft light that was very appropriately feathered for the Congresswoman, so nothing was so super harsh. The other portion of my job was making sure that the backgrounds were well controlled, and anytime the Congresswoman needed an extra bit of backlight or hair light, that I was right there with the right source to do it. In the case of our headliner image that was shot with Tariq's Wista 4x5 field camera, we needed a little bit of some fill coming in from camera left, and that's when I brought in the V-flat, like I talked about in the end of the lighting episode. It's the difference between looks pretty good and looks excellent and just fills in the subject perfectly and helps them stand out from the background. In the case of this type of assignment, that's the whole goal. You want the main person you're photographing to stand out. You're putting them in their best light possible, sometimes putting them in a position of power, and sometimes just making them the friendly voice that you can have a conversation with. You know, in this particular instance, I was really just assisting and setting up lights, but there was some collaborative back and forth. Whenever Tariq would show me style sheets for the shoot, okay, this is what we want to go for, but what if we tried this? Anytime you can bounce ideas off of another creative, especially someone that's at the top of their game, I recommend doing so. It's such a cool opportunity, and it may be difficult at first to give up some creative control to somebody else, but once you have that trust and you've worked a little bit together, you're gonna find collaboration always gives you something greater than the sum of its parts. And that's the whole idea, is to work together and build something really cool. So is large format the commercial endeavor that it once was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s? No. And will it ever be again? Probably not at that same level, but film as a whole is coming back a little bit in the commercial sense. There are more creatives in those higher end positions where they are requesting to work in film. Coming from the retail side of things, I am seeing several high-end brands, both for lifestyle and fashion, that are choosing to use film. Skate companies, I have some buddies that work in that industry, love the use of film just because it's always had that counterculture-ish feel to it. So commercial use of film photography and a little bit of large format is making its way back up, but nowhere near the numbers it used to be. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. In working in those environments that demands collaboration, hair, makeup, set, lighting, grip, almost treating it like a short film, Yes, you definitely can make large format happen commercially. And with all the positive results I've been having with collaborating with others lately, it's given me a new goal for next year. I want to try collaborating even more, and maybe not just in the studio. How about your experiences with collaboration? Have you ever worked with another creative or a team of creatives before? Let me know down below in the comments. I don't think large format is just a hobby that is solo and one person. Sure, you can get some really cool things when you do that, but working collaboratively with something as expressive a medium as large format, I think we can do some special things. By the way, if you have any questions about the large format photographic process, you can always feel free to drop those down below. You can also feel free to reach out via email, largeformatquestions@gmail.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and we'll catch you next week for more LFF.